Hey everyone, so in today's video we are going to be looking at pronouns, adjectives, and possibly adverbs, definitely pronouns and adjectives. We are moving into understanding why authors use specific types of language in their writing, specifically with figurative language and connotation, which we're going to be looking at this week, but also in your own writing. Why is it important to understand the words that you are using? So to do that, I gotta make sure that we understand pronouns, their antecedents, what those are, and then adjectives. Now, pronouns to me are one of the trickiest parts of speech. So pronouns, this is the easy part. They take the place of nouns or other pronouns. Okay. The words the pronoun replaces, oh man, the word or words the pronoun is replacing is known as the antecedent. That's the word. That's the word. So the word the pronoun is replacing is called the antecedent. So in formal writing, the pronoun and the antecedent should agree in number and in gender. That means if you said Mr. Black and Mr. Kramer were going to the movies, that's a sentence. Now, if we start another sentence or another thought and we want to replace Mr. Kramer and Mr. Black with a pronoun, we would say they, right? Because it's plural, that's the number, and it's more than one person, so the gender necessarily isn't as concerning there. The gender is really only concerning when you're talking about males or females. So if you said Mr. Black was going to the movies, he bought popcorn. The he there is the pronoun, and the antecedent it is replacing is Mr. Black. So this type of gender is grammatical and is different from a person's gender, though they can be connected with personal pronouns like he or she. This is similar to el and la in Spanish, or le or la in French. Don't ask me about that. I don't know language like that. I took German and Latin. The antecedent of indefinite pronouns. Now this is where it can get really, really, really tricky. Okay, but they are unnamed. They are non-specific or unknown. Okay, people, places, things or amounts. People, things or amounts. Basically, they refer back to unknown antecedents. The prefix in means not, and the Latin root definere, meaning to limit, summed together to mean not limited. So an indefinite pronoun is literally not limited to any one antecedent. Now, reflexive pronouns. So again, these are indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns, like I just said, they're very, very tricky. It's just because we're not doing subject-verb agreement right now, though. So it's just really difficult when it comes to subject-verb agreement. And it can also be difficult here because, again, it does not have a definite, right? It's unknown. Okay. So we'll talk about that when it comes to indefinite pronouns. Just know that they are tricky and we will work with them. But my main goal right now is you just understanding pronouns are that these are pronouns and then they take the place of nouns. So reflexive pronouns, also a little bit tricky, but nowhere near as tricky as indefinites. So reflexive pronouns, yourself, myself, himself, herself, ourselves, themselves, etc. These pronouns end in either, as you just saw, you guessed it, self. I needed to put a hyphen there. I'm so sorry. Self or selves, according to whether they are singular or plural. You only use a reflexive pronoun in this if the subject and object of the sentence are the same. So a correct way to use a reflexive pronoun is Jane shook herself awake in a dream. This is correct because Jane is the subject of the sentence and she is also the object of the sentence. She did the shaking and was the one woken up by the shaking. Again, like I said, with indefinite pronouns can be tricky. Incorrect. If you have questions, email Bob or myself. See here, though, the object and the subject are not the same because the subject here is you, right? That's the person with questions. That's the subject. And then these are two different people because you're Bob or myself are getting the email, not you. So you would not say that. You would say Bob or me. Lastly, with pronouns, I think, right? Relatives? Yeah. Relative pronouns refer to an earlier noun or pronoun in the sentence and connect it to a clause. Remember a clause? Remember this? We've been learning clauses, I hope. Remember a clause has a subject and a verb. Once a relative pronoun is added to a clause, that becomes the dependent. Okay. So the dog, this is your reflexive pronoun right here, that, because here are your reflexive pronouns, who, whom, whose, that, and which. So the dog that is wearing, I don't know why he's meowing, we fed him. We fed you, Bo. We fed you, buddy. His name's Bowie, not Bo. By the way, Mr. Kramer does not like David Bowie, and it bothers me. He'd probably find it funny that I say that it bothers me, but how do you not like David Bowie? Anyways, that is the relative pronoun that replaces the dog. In the clause, that is wearing the pink collar. However, now that has replaced the dog, the clause is dependent. It cannot stand alone because it doesn't make sense without the rest of the sentence. This clause acts like an adjective because it describes the dog. They are sometimes called adjective clauses. We don't need to go down that road right now either. Again, I'm really just making sure we are gaining these knowledge about these pronouns. But I do also want us to be careful. These pronouns don't always do this job. Sometimes they ask questions. Who are talking with who? Which book is yours? To whom are you speaking? In these cases, the pronouns are the subject of the sentence. That's how you can tell the difference. Adjectives describe. Oh, yeah, adjectives now? That's weird. It's not in the same space. Okay, so my bad. So we are moving into adjectives next. That's going to be a separate video because obviously this is already 7 minutes and I don't need to make it longer than necessary. I want to see where we are with pronouns and antecedents after this. We do have to get through adjectives. I may save adverbs for a later date. We will see. As always, guys, thank you for watching. I will see you in our next video on adjectives. Bye, everybody.